Welcome to the North Texas Council Vetting Committee for the Dallas County Sheriff. We have with us today candidate Charlie Thomas. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm going to read the rules aloud. No one is allowed to be in the room except the vetting panel and the candidate. All electronics allowed in the room shall be turned off except laptops used by the vetting committee and the video recorders provided by the vetting committee. Cell phones or voice recorders shall be turned off in the room. No written material or notes will be taken by the candidate. The North Texas Council vetting panel members and candidate agree that all questions and responses at this vetting session are to remain confidential property until videos are uploaded and considered public information on the NTC website, northtexascouncil.org, and/or an alternate website. Verbal questions will be asked and verbal responses to those questions will be given with 2-minute responses for each question. The candidate will receive a copy of his or her vetting interview recording, upon which time the video is posted to the North Texas Council website and/or alternate website. All right. And now we'll introduce the council committee members. I am Babs Millward from Rowlett.
I'm Linda Brantley from Little Elm.
I'm Barbara Harless from Murphy, Texas.
My name is Donna Rutledge. I'm from the city of Allen in Collin County.
Thank you. Again, Dallas County Sheriff candidate Charlie Thomas is with us today. Please start off to tell us about your background in law enforcement and what qualifies you to serve as the manager of the second largest sheriff's office in Texas.
My name is Charlie Joseph Thomas. I was born in San Antonio, raised in Houston. I moved to Dallas County about 4 years ago. I worked at the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center Police Department for over 2 years. I graduated the Eastville Police Academy when I was 21 years old. I ranked pretty high, well within my class. I am running for Dallas County Sheriff because I feel there is a need for improvement. I do agree that Sheriff Lupe Valdez has improved the Sheriff's Department. The only critique that I have of Sheriff Lupe Valdez is the amount of overtime. Also, I want to use if elected, I want to use my power to work with the Commissioner's Court to do major reforms, including reforms to where we provide adequate health care to all inmates, and also push to have HIV/AIDS, the vaccine for HIV/AIDS made available, which is on the FDA website, and the FDA has been blocking that for years. There's also other major reforms that I want to pursue as well. I've listed within the Sheriff's Department is overtime, the amount of overtime we need to reduce. That's $8 million that can go to other programs, especially to recruitment. We go into the colleges and we recruit from colleges. We also recruit veterans, but we have to be very aware of veterans who have PTSD. Both of my brothers suffer from PTSD, and we cannot allow veterans who do suffer from PTSD to join the Sheriff's Department because they do pose a significant risk to themselves and inmates. But like I said, there's a lot more I want to do within the Sheriff's Department, and it's a lot broader than just being the sheriff.
Thank you. We're now going to begin the questions. You'll have 2 minutes to answer each question.
Okay.
The first question: what can you do to improve the working relationship between the Dallas Sheriff Department and other law enforcement agencies such as the Dallas Police Department?
Well, we need to all coordinate, I believe. I don't recommend a system to where it's all one police department and things of that nature. The Sheriff's Department is separated from the Dallas Police Department for good reasons, and both communication needs to be a priority, and we also need to do something about the inmates that Dallas City is bringing into Dallas County, and make sure that those are going to be adequate charges that they're being charged with. And we need to work, like I said, with the Commissioner's Court as well, the Dallas County Commissioner's Court, to establish a system to where we do help inmates from Dallas and surrounding cities to see if they can get medical treatment if they are mentally ill. There's a difference between the mentally ill and someone who's actually doing a crime out of passion. So we need to establish what the difference is and get help and find funds to support those individuals. And also there are property crimes as well that we can sort out as well.
The Dallas Commissioners Court allocates the budget for the sheriff. How can the Dallas Sheriff effectively prevent Dallas Commissioners Court from micromanaging the sheriff's office outside of setting the budget?
Well, the budget is $138 million, the Dallas County Sheriff's budget. The Commissioners Court, like I said, as sheriff, if I'm elected, we will work with the Commissioners Court to cut all the wasteful spending, because I do believe that there's other programs that unnecessary spending that money can be allotted to, that includes educational programs for the students, keep them out of jail. I'm not too much of a believer in programs to where I'm a believer in programs when it comes to young children, to where they have more time in school to prevent those young children from being a problem in society. And I want to work with the Commissioners Court to do something about the budget, and it's something we're going to have to go line by line and actually look at the budget and restructure everything. That includes healthcare for inmates and also the public. It also includes educational programs in order to keep young people out of our jails, because I don't believe jail is an answer for the young adults that don't have parents and have other issues going on in their lives. So we will work with the Commissioners Court when it comes to budgets.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Will you seek an increase in the current budget for the sheriff's office? And where do you see necessary changes or reallocation of funds or resources for the 2012-2013 fiscal years?
I do not believe that there should be an increase in the budget for the Sheriff's Department. Like I said, last time I checked, $8 million in overtime. We can reduce $8 million in overtime by hiring more deputies and hiring more detention officers to satisfy that need. You have programs, other programs out there where you can take money out and also give money into. Right now, I still think close to $140 million is reasonable enough for the Sheriff's Department already. Even though you have healthcare costs that you need to deal with, we can still deal with healthcare costs, inmate healthcare costs, employee healthcare costs. We can still deal with that. We just need to go line by line, which I am willing to do, go line by line and look at our budget and take away unnecessary spending, just like which the Commissioners Court proposed not too long ago, is putting tracking devices on patrol cars. I don't feel that you need to spend almost $1 million and something to put tracking devices on patrol cars when that money can easily go into other necessary programs, like I said, supporting education and also having after-school programs for the young adults in order to keep them out of doing any kind of criminal mischief or any kind of personal crime or property crime. So we need to look at the broader picture when it comes to our community. So,
Okay, great.
Sir, if ordered by the federal government, would you disarm the residents of this county? And if so, how could you justify this action?
no, if I'm ordered by the federal government, it have to be something that is imposed by Congress. There's the Second Amendment. I'm a strong believer in the U.S. Constitution. The Constitution was there to protect individual rights. And in my point of view, people should not fear their government. The government should fear their people. They should fear that their elections are at stake and they are accountable to the people. So when it comes to the Second Amendment, I am firmly for gun ownership rights, but like I said, we can't have everyone going around with AK-47s in the street. So I do believe in some limited assault rifles ban, and also if you are a felon, that's any kind of gun ownership is out of the question. And also if you have violated a protective order, gun ownership is out of the question for you as well, because you pose a significant danger to society, and that is unacceptable, and it's the responsibility of the sheriff and law enforcement agencies to keep everyone safe. And like I said, I'm a firm believer of the Second Amendment.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. National Defense Authorization Act of 2012 funds the United States military. Sections 1021 and 1022 of the NDAA, signed by the President on December 31, 2011, allow suspension of habeas corpus or the detainment of American citizens indefinitely without due process or being informed of the nature and cause of the accusation. Would you enforce the suspension of habeas corpus in Dallas County? If so, how could you justify this action which violates the Sixth Amendment of the United States Constitution?
Habeas corpus is a violation of the Fourth Amendment as well. That's search and seizure. You cannot start seizing people without just cause. It's one of those things I'm a firm believer in. The Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, counsel is Sixth Amendment. Like I said, when it comes to the federal government, in my opinion, the federal government has already defecated over the Constitution already. They have not abided by the Constitution. You have amendments in there to protect individual rights. That's why the whole Bill of Rights was formed in conjunction with the Constitution. So you cannot literally pass these laws, which I disagree with President Obama on some of the rights that are being taken away and some of the rights that have been minimized towards individual based on terrorism and based on superstition that has not been proven out of an individual yet. So that's why we have rights. We have the rights of, like I said, the Fourth Amendment, search and seizure. You can't search these people. You cannot seize them without probable cause. You need probable cause for arrest, and we do need someone who is going to get it, who is going to tell the federal government that we do have the Constitution and they do need to abide by it. These legislators, the people in Congress have not been working towards that goal of preserving the U.S. Constitution and preserving people's rights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In the monumental Supreme Court case, Mack Prince versus USA, 1997, 7 small-town sheriffs struck down the unfunded federal mandate titled the Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act. Justice Scalia delivered the opinion of the court, stating, the federal government may not compel the states to enact or administer a federally regulated regulatory program. Accordingly, the federal government may act only where the Constitution authorizes it to do so. What is the duty of the Dallas County Sheriff in defending Dallas County residents against the state or federal government in enforcing unfunded federal mandates?
The Dallas County Sheriff, he or she needs to abide by the U.S. Constitution. That's the whole premise of the U.S. Constitution. And when it's like I said, it's there to protect individual rights from oppressive state governments and also oppressive federal government if it crosses that line. So when it comes to laws being passed and things of that nature, people need to understand that they do have rights. We need to start educating people about those rights and not allow these politicians in Washington to like I said, make up their own rules. And also the Supreme Court decision, the Supreme Court makes good decisions most of the time when they really do interpret the Constitution. But like I said, I will be a strong supporter if I'm elected Dallas County Sheriff of the U.S. Constitution and following those laws of the U.S. Constitution. And I believe, like I said, if I have to, we will go to court, federal court, in order to take on, if it's the state government, in order to take on the state government and say, hey, this is a violation of our individual rights, and have the Supreme Court, deal it out, make that decision.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
Oath Keepers is a nonpartisan association of current and formerly serving military, reserves, National Guard, veterans, peace officers, and firefighters who will fulfill the oath they swore with the support of like-minded citizens who take an oath to stand to support and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, so help them God. Their oath is to the Constitution. Would you consider yourself an oath keeper?
I would consider myself an oath keeper. Like I said, the U.S. Constitution was made, the founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, Washington, Madison, all of them came up with the U.S. Constitution in order to protect individual rights, especially from an oppressive government, which happened in Great Britain years and years ago, over 200 years ago. There was an oppressive king, and they wanted to avoid any sort of king dictator who would literally violate people's rights. Like I said, I am a supporter of the U.S. Constitution. I don't believe in seizing people. There has to be just cause. There has to be probable cause in order to seize people. There has to be probable cause in order to search someone. And there has to be probable cause when it comes to wiretapping and all this other good stuff and internet surveillance. There has to be probable cause for that. I'm a firm believer of that. And I do not think we should I do think people should watch out who they're voting for and see what kind of background some of these politicians who are already in office and are capable of. Because a lot of these politicians, they will give you the same message over and over again, but they're not fooling anyone. I'm not fooled. You can fool some of the people all the time. You can fool all the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all the people all of the time. Abraham Lincoln even said that. And picking the same people over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. And even Albert Einstein said that. That is the definition of insanity, and we need to be followers of the U.S. Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. What do you feel is the best way to improve morale and also recruit and retain good officers?
The best way we're going to do that is get quality individuals. That includes people who are already in college looking for a job, people who are just now leaving college. That includes veterans. Like I said, PTSD is something I want to watch out for when we do start hiring veterans, because I know personally the effects of PTSD from my friends and also from my brothers. So the quality that we're going to get if we start looking to colleges and we start looking for these ex-military is good quality individuals, as opposed to someone who hasn't have anything going on in their life and they don't know what exact direction they want to go in. So we need individuals that are willing to learn, who are capable of learning, capable of starting something and completing it. And if we get those kind of individuals, and we also try to find out more about the academy program, and we might have to restructure the academy program in order to fit financial needs. And also we need to do a thorough scan of these individuals who are applying for the Sheriff's Department and make sure that they are mentally stable and they don't have any kind of major criminal record, that we can bring them along and bring them in the fold to where we have a good quality Sheriff's Department.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The position of Executive Chief Deputy was created in 2008. What is the job description for the Executive Chief Deputy, and would you keep or abolish this position?
I know that there's 3 chiefs. I haven't heard about the chief executive position. I do know that Dallas County Sheriff does have 3 chiefs, and also the sheriff at the head. I would need to look into that because I wouldn't want anyone to undermine my authority. If I'm elected as sheriff, it would have to be me making this decision instead of someone else, because I have been elected to take on a position that has a tremendous responsibility, and I understand what responsibility has to do with everything, and I have done a lot of things on my own, especially sending myself to the police academy, and also on my side, creating my own business with no help from anyone else. But I've literally did my research. I'm always trying to research. Abraham Lincoln, when he was running for president, he had zero administrative experience, but he educated himself. You don't need to really go to college in order to educate yourself when you can prove it a couple years back that Abraham Lincoln was the one who actually had zero education, and he was able to be elected as U.S. president. But besides that fact, I would not want someone to undermine my authority when it comes to a chief executive position. I would want to be the one who is making the decisions, along with help with the Commissioner's Court, in order to do budget decisions, in order to do operation decisions, in order to tackle major issues that are within the Sheriff's Department and outside of the Sheriff's Department that affects the Sheriff's Department. So, like I said, the executive, I would still need to look into that, but I would eliminate that position if it is to undermine my authority.
Thank you.
Number 10, the North Central Texas Fusion Center is operated by the Department of Homeland Security and located in McKinney, Texas. 16 counties in North Texas participate and cooperate with the NCTFC. The Fusion Center collects personal identifiable information that may be of non-criminal nature and shares this information with various law enforcement agencies. What is the relationship between the Dallas County Sheriff's Office and the North Central Texas Fusion Center?
Right now, I'd have to do more research into that. I can't really comment on this one at that time.
Okay. What resources for the Dallas County Sheriff's Office are supplied, and what do you project the cost to be in Dallas County taxpayers?
Are you talking about that Fusion Center?
Yes.
Like I said, I would still need to do further research on that issue.
Okay, thank you. Question 11, the second amendment states, quote, "A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." What does the term militia mean, and what does well-regulated mean in the second amendment?
Militia, in my opinion, is a sheriff's department, and also a militia is a standing army, but it's not controlled by a federal government. It's like sheriffs. It's like state, like a state military. So it's separate from the national military. And the other part of your question about
Can you read it again?
yes, go ahead.
What does the term militia mean, and what does well-regulated mean?
Well-regulated means that it has to have a function, it has to have a structure, and it needs to not be over there's a certain line, a threshold line, that it's not supposed to cross, and the Constitution, I believe, supports a army that is not, I don't know how to really specifically say this, that is not a part of the government like this, like the federal government, but separate from it, like I was saying earlier, and regulated. It has to be within a capacity not to undermine the existing military. So That's my answer to my question.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Acceptance of federal funds usually come with strings attached. Is there such a thing as a good state or federal grant program? And give 2 examples of a good grant program and 2 examples where we should refuse state or federal grant money.
There's several different grants. There's grants against gangs, but I don't necessarily know the stipulations with those grants. I know that there are grants out there that the federal government gives out to assist in terrorism, also with gang prevention, things of that nature, but I haven't really was able to specifically target the strings that are attached to it. You, as an individual, as a person, as a sheriff, if you're representing your community, you would take at least the knowledge that you have and apply that to a good decision on accepting money or not when it comes to strings attached. So I don't know specifically of those strings, but I do know that there are grants available to the Sheriff's Department, and that helps operate different operations like terrorism, anti-terrorism task force, and also with gangs.
Thank you. This is your last question. The U.S. Constitution is the supreme law in America. See Article 6. Sharia law contradicts the Bill of Rights in several areas. Are you aware of attempts to enforce Sharia law in the United States? And what would you do if a local legislative body enacted a law or ordinance that supported Sharia law over the U.S. Constitution?
I have been aware of some reports out of Oklahoma, Nebraska about how they are trying to implement Sharia law. Like I said, in our country, the supreme law is going to be our U.S. Constitution. We will respect religious freedom, but we will not respect religious law. There's a fine difference. We are not going to have a system that's contradictory. We are going to, like I said, respect freedom of religion, but we are not going to impose any sort of Sharia law, because a lot of it is repressive and a lot of it takes away from the current rights that individuals do have already. So that right there, Sharia law is not an option. We are not going to, I do not believe that the Supreme Court should look at international law too as well to base most of their decisions. They really do need to look at the U.S. Constitution and abide by what the Founding Fathers wanted this country to become, and protect individual rights and maintain a stable government, especially financially. But when it comes to Sharia law and any kind of support for that, I'm against, and I'm a strong advocate. I would be a strong advocate against that, including if there is any legislation introduced, I would strike that down.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.